Hello, good morning, good afternoon. We are from Brazil, but you guys in Spain, good morning, good afternoon. It's a pleasure for Bright Cities to be the organizing of this side event. I'm Raquel Cardamone. I'm a smart city expert. I'm a professor in University of Campinas in Brazil, and I'm one of the founders of Bright Cities platform. So today, Tomorrow.City event, it's all about data changes everything. Smarter infrastructure rules our world. So we are here. We were invited to present solution made in South America to challenges in global cities. This side event seeks to highlight the opportunities and success stories about real solutions in Latin America cities while providing better urban service to their citizens. So with me today, we have Fernanda Delgado, that's a professor and researcher in FGV Energy, Fundação Getulio Vargas here in Brazil, and Bruno Batista, an active mobility analyst in WRI here in Brazil as well. So thank you guys very much for participating in this side event. And for today, each of the speakers are going to have 10 minutes to share their vision and their success stories. And after, we are going to have 15 minutes for questions from you guys, the audience for today. So please feel free to send us questions during the presentations that we will be glad to answer you all in the end. To start, I'm going to start sharing with you a success story that we have here in Brazil that's from Cataguases. It is a project that Bright Cities developed here in Brazil with Energia company in order to make Cataguases, that is a small city in Minas Gerais, a 7,000 people population, to become a smarter city in the areas of energy and mobility. So first, we use Bright Cities platform that I'm gonna share with you how it works to develop a diagnosis on the city using indicators, data on indicators based on the ISO. So today we have three main ISOs, that is the standardization of cities indicators worldwide. We have the 37120, the 37122, and the 37123. These three standardization indicators of cities can help us to identify what areas in the city we need to measure, to understand how is the city in the sustainable areas, in the smart city area, and the resilience. So I'm gonna share with you how it works, and this special case that we have here using the platform. It's a real case using what we call the right sequence of how we can improve cities. First, using data. So the platform, it's easy to use. We upload official data from worldwide, and I'm gonna share with you the case, especially here in Cataguases. So what we do is that we consolidate public official data using as a map the indicators on ISO. So here we have the city, the small city in Cataguases, and we chose a small city so you guys can understand that we can make better cities. They don't need to be the big cities. Any city can be upgraded and go towards smarter use. So this is Cataguases diagnosis. So we develop a diagnosis on 10 areas, and we open each area using the data, the official data, the official source. We open each one to see how can the city performance on each area. So let me just check here and use, I'm gonna choose, we have the deploy of each area in more than 160 indicator, but I'm gonna use the area that we were focused on, that was energy and mobility. And I'm gonna use this because today our speakers are gonna focus in these two areas. So Fernanda is gonna talk about and give us more technical information regarding projects in the energy area. And Bruno is gonna share with us energy and mobility area. So when we go to the indicators, as an example, if we go to the energy, we have here the list of what are the indicators that we need to see and to check in terms of performance of cities using ISO, and to see how is the performance of each one in each indicators and how is performing comparing to other cities. It's important to say that all these indicators on ISO, it's aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as well. So that's why we use here always to link both, so we can have all cities going towards the same goals. So here we have, for example, the total electric energy use per capita of the city. And here it's the light here saying that it's yellow, so it's something that we can improve. We can make a more efficiency in the city. And then we can see what are the solutions available worldwide that can help the city to implement and to better perform in these indicators. So this is an easy way for us to identify what are the areas that the city needs to improve comparing to performance of other cities, and what are the solutions that are available. It's important that to share with you that all this solution marketplace, it's available for free in Bright Cities platform. So any city can go here and can choose and see what are the solutions available for the urban challenge today. So it's a worldwide platform. So in the case, especially specifically in the case of Cataguases, we focus on the energy and mobility because the project was a group of stakeholders doing the project, and one of the stakeholders was a private sector company that was the energy company. So this was our focus, and it's important to say that because the whole I'm going to share with you really quick what we have as the results on this project, but it's important to share with you that this project was very complete because we had Bright Cities as a startup, diagnosis on cities. We had a private company that's a local company in Cataguases with a big influence. We had the city hall involved in the project, and we had the academy involved, the university, the local university. So we got the whole ecosystem of innovation involved in this project, what brought us good results in terms of making the city closer to the smart city concept. So now I'm sharing with you what was this project. It was in 2018. We started to developing this diagnosis. It's just taking a little bit to change here. Well, now we have. So it was an energy company, Energia is the call of the company. It's important to bring that because it is a huge company here in Brazil, but it was founded in Cataguases. So the company wants to give back to the city in this project of how they could help the city to make better service to the citizens using the concept of smart city. So we use as map, let's say like that, that's the ISO of indicators of sustainable cities. So we use ISO 37120 to analyze and to make the diagnosis of the city. We focus on the two areas, the energy and the mobility. And in the energy area, we focus on the 37122 ISO. These are the indicators that are considering this ISO, but I'm gonna share with you only a few examples of this. So this is the first one that's we analyze what was the number of points of illumination of the lights of the city. And we didn't find that any of the lights were the public lights were using a better efficiency technology. So we implemented the smart street lighting. This is a complete project here that I'm going to show, that I'm showing. That's even a Smart City Expo Congress suggestion. We didn't implement this complete project yet, but it was implemented the first stage that was using a better and efficient public lighting. So this was the first project that was implemented, and that's reaching almost 40% of cost reduction in the city. And another very special project that was implemented after we did the diagnosis and the solution roadmap for Cataguases City was to make the better efficiency energy in public buildings. In Cataguases, there is 77 public buildings, and none of them at the moment of the diagnosis was using a better efficiency energy technology. So what we did is that we started a project and implemented a project that's called Acender, that's lighting here in Brazil. And we started to implement this efficiency energy in public buildings. So here's a picture of one of the schools, the public schools that was implemented. Not only we implemented a better use of the energy, but we use the communication and education to show to kids how to use better the energy. So it was a very special project. And today we have this implemented in others public buildings in Cataguases. So this incentivate the project that gives and is the result on the cost reduction for Cataguases City. In another project in mobility, these were the indicators that we analyzed in the city. So low pollution emissions vehicles, shared bicycles system, intelligent urban transportation, intelligent management of public transportation as well, and more 3 indicators. But I'm gonna focus here in the low pollutant emission vehicles in the municipality. So we introduced for Cataguases public cars for the public service, use the electrical cars. So it was a project that was very special, and they start using for the public managers that we have for the city. So that was another project that is incentivizing the city to understand what are the better solutions that we have today, and then incentivizing other projects to go along with this. So these were the 2 examples that I would like to share with you in terms of what was the results and what was the real solution implemented by this project, this smart city projects for a small city. So we have this real case in terms of what we are able to do in solutions in smart city. So thank you. And now we're gonna go deeper on the energy area for our cities. And I'm gonna call Fernanda Delgado, that's here with us. That again is the professor and researcher in Fundação Getulio Vargas here in Brazil. So thank you, Fernanda, for being with us. And please present all these insights that you have on the energy area.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you for the invitation. Gracias por la invitación. Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Well, what can I say about energy in Brazil and energy as a whole here? This is the task that was given to me in order to talk about the cities and the energy as a main composition for the economic development and how we are dealing with this economic growth and the expectation of economic growth and how we are going to deal with energy, especially the natural gas here in Brazil. Well, as everybody knows, we are dealing with a very different scenario right now, a very different environment right now, is that we are in the middle of a pandemic and we're in the middle of an economic recession. Due to so, we are not growing, we are not having any economic growth, but we are expecting to do so as soon as we get rid of this virus. And I guess all the countries are making their programs with the vaccination programs, and Brazil is doing the same. At the same time, we have our pre-salt here. I'm pretty sure you all have heard about the big reservoirs that we discovered on offshore here in Brazil, 300 kilometers from the coast, with big reservoirs of oil and with natural gas associated to this. Well, here in Brazil, we have like 100 million cubic meters daily of production of natural gas, but at the same time we import natural gas from Bolivia and we import natural gas from LNG from United States, from Qatar, from Trinidad and Tobago, because we don't have this natural gas arriving on the places that we need it to arrive. We don't have the pipelines arriving on the correct places. Actually, inside Brazil is very big, as everybody knows. So right now, we are in a very huge program in Brazilian government to incentivize the use of natural gas and the production of this gas that is associated to the oil of the pre-salt offshore. So what we are doing right now, the government and the private companies are trying to monetize this huge amount of gas that we are going to have from the pre-salt in the next years. We are expecting to double this production. So we produce 100 million cubic meters daily. So we are expecting until 2025, 2027 to have 200 million cubic meters daily of natural gas production. In order to have this to come to the coast and to have it clean and to put in pipelines and to distribute it to the cities and to the factories and to everybody else inside Brazil, we need pipelines, we need the gas refineries here in Brazil. So we need new regulations, because here in Brazil, we have the monopoly of Petrobras since the 50s, and now we are actually getting rid of this monopoly because Petrobras is selling their assets either from natural gas, either from onshore assets. This is a very good thing, because when Petrobras is selling their assets, other companies are buying, smaller companies are buying, and these smaller companies actually in shallow water and onshore, they are bringing jobs, they are bringing technology, they are bringing economic activity to the interior of Brazil. And this is good because they are bringing natural gas resources, they are bringing all these economic activities to the cities that were once just with Petrobras, very low economic activity, because these small reservoirs were not more of interest of Petrobras. Petrobras is interested in pre-salt, is interested in big reservoirs, in big oil discovery. So these small companies are being attracted right now, and this is the big plan of the country, of the the energetic planning of the country and all the policies that the Brazil is making right now is to diversify this environmental, this entrepreneur environmental, in order to attract these smaller companies that would bring jobs to the interior of the country. This natural gas that we are expecting to monetize and to give a more interest use is something that we are expecting to bring what we are calling the new industrialization of Brazil. Right now, the industry in Brazil just represent just 15% of our GDP. In the 1980s, the industry represents more than 30% of Brazil GDP. So we have a movement of having less industries in Brazil and more farm business in Brazil, more agriculture in Brazil, which is good for a side. Brazil is the biggest exporter of soybeans, but it's not that good because the industry is a big employer here in Brazil. So we need to get more jobs because of this pandemic, and this is good for the development of the cities. As I said, this is a very big plan of the government regarding to giving jobs and to the development of the cities of the interior. Actually, the big oil companies now, they are in the middle of, they are struggling with the last report from the International Energy Agency that said that we cannot drill any more wells from 2021 if we want to achieve the net zero emissions in 2050. But I guess this is not a reality for the underdeveloped countries as Brazil, as we still need a lot of energy here for us to develop our cities. So I guess we still have a lot of things to be done, especially when we're talking about natural gas. Brazil has a lot of potential to make also biofuels. We are very known as our ethanol program that we started in the 80s. Here in Brazil, almost all of our fleet, all of our cars are biofuel. We can use either ethanol or gasoline. And when the prices of ethanol are really good, we use ethanol in our cars. And actually, we have a new program called Renova Bio right now that is to incentivize the use of the ethanol here. Well, things are going in a good track in order to have more energy in, especially natural gas here in Brazil. And as all other countries, we are struggling with the pandemic. I guess the policies that the Ministry of Mines and Energy are going in the right direction. Of course, as all the civil society, we always need to want things to be more fast and things to be more well done, but the things are going. The perspective from underdeveloped countries are always different from developed countries regarding electrification, regarding biofuels, regarding CCS and things like that. But actually now we are really focused on developing the natural gas market and betting on that for the development of the interior of Brazil. I guess this is something just to start for the discussion. Raquel, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation again.
Thank you, Fernanda. Was the perfect timing. So thank you very much for the relevant information and technical information on how the energy area can be used to develop the economy of the cities, and in consequence can help to improve the public service. So thank you very much. And now we're going to have a view on solutions and projects that Bruno Batista is going to share with us, with all the projects that were developed on the WRI Brazil organization. So Bruno.
Thank you, Raquel. So following these two great presentations, Okay, so my name is Bruno Batista. I'm talking from Porto Alegre here in Brazil as well. And I'm part of the active mobility team at WRI Brazil. So just a quick context, WRI Brazil is part of the World Resources Institute, which is an organization that works across a global network to develop practical solutions that improves people's life and protect nature, focusing in various areas such as cities, forests, and climate. We have offices in more than 10 countries, but today I want to talk a little bit more about the concept of complete streets and the work that we have been doing here in Brazil with various Brazilian cities in the last few years. So I have prepared just a few slides for that, and I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. Okay. All right, I'm sharing my screen, and I think you all can see it now. All right, so talking a little bit about the complete streets and this new paradigm of street design. First of all, what makes a street more or less complete? This concept started in the US. I believe it has now already like 15 years. And the planners in the cities, they started to think every street in the city in all its aspects. So here there's a lot of examples. And we started to change a little bit from the past where all the traffic planning, the engineering was made mostly focused on cars. And so to think this project as of a complete street in considering all the users is essential, and all the aspects regarding safety, accessibility, and comfort. And not only for drivers, but for every user, for pedestrians, for cyclists, for public transportation, etc. So trying to connect that with the concept of smart cities, I was thinking like, what is the city that we want in 20 years? We can have like a city with a street design similar to today, what we have today, the image on the left. Okay, we are advancing towards electric vehicles, towards decarbonization of the cities, towards a more sustainable mobility. But our cities can look like just like they are looking today with electric vehicles. Would that be enough for the quality of life of everyone? Or maybe we can go towards something like the image in the right, where we divide our public space among all the users, and we think in more sustainable ways how to move around in our cities. So trying to use this context, we created and we worked in the last 4 years with a network of cities, with more than 20 cities in Brazil, trying to implement pilot projects in all these cities of complete streets, trying to use these as study cases to influence not only the cities, but all the surrounding cities of these areas to try to make this shift in the municipalities. And right now, after 4 years, we are almost launching a very interesting report of complete streets with many Brazilian cases. Because in the past, we used like to start these presentations always having examples from developed countries, from Europe, from the US, and now we wanted to do something in Latin America. So that was the idea behind the project using this concept. So I don't want to take too much time, but I still have some images, some of before and after projects to illustrate a little bit of these changes to have more safe, more accessible, and more comfortable streets for everyone. This is an example of a street before and after in an intersection of a street here in Porto Alegre, from where I'm speaking from. And this process with the tool of tactical urbanism, trying to have like low cost interventions first with mostly paint and bollards. It was a really successful case. and changed the dynamic of the street, reduced the speeds, and people from the community approved in general. And now this same street art is going to have like a new definitive project with physical infrastructure, with like extended sidewalks, with concrete and everything. Another example, like a small one, I always like to bring this case because every street can be a complete street, like in a very big avenue or a very small city in a local community. This is a entrance of a school in Campinas city, and they used to have a problem with like parents picking up their children, and so all this project organized the entrance of the school and provided comfort for everyone. This is a huge street in Niterói, which is a city right next to Rio de Janeiro, and they changed the whole design of the city. They created squares, these plazas, they added cycle lanes, and they organized also a special area for public transportation. And it has been really important for the whole mobility in the city. So that's like an example of a bigger scale project. Okay, so yeah. Beyond like the physical street, complete streets represent a change in our understanding of street values, beyond only, as I said before, the flow of vehicles. It's about creating a culture and policies that allow safe and efficient transport choices. And this goes like, this makes the shift from that old paradigm, the way that we planned our cities, focused on cars in the last 100 years and all the negative results from that. And now we are having this transformation period towards a new paradigm where everyone can be more sustainable, but also have like a better quality of life in cities. And finally, why now? Because most cities, most countries recognize that the current system does not meet citizens' needs, especially considering mobility, considering air quality, and also equity and accessibility for everyone. So COVID also helped pushing that, and also the climate crisis. So all this context that the world is living in right now is making many cities try to push for that, to provide changes for their citizens. I think I tried to be fast for us to have some time for discussion, but that's it. Thank you very much for the invitation, and let's have some conversation.
Great, Bruno. Thank you very much for sharing with us solutions. And I really like when you say that every street can be a complete street. And I would add better streets for citizens, because one of the main problems worldwide is the fatalities that we have in the mobility area that we have in the streets. And it's a very high problem here in Brazil as well. So these implementations and these modifications that you show is showing that we can make this better. So thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you, Fernanda, for the information on the energy side as well. So now we are going to start the debate, let's say like that. That's the questions that we receive from the audience. And I will start, since Bruno just sent us and show us the solutions, I will start with one question that is, Brazil is the fourth largest in traffic accidents, fatalities. What are the biggest challenges in your vision, Bruno? And what is the positive results? You show some of them that you have had on your projects that we can use as a benchmark to change this reality, not only in Brazil, but worldwide.
Okay, sure. So road safety is totally connected to complete streets and this concept. And I would say like that today, one of the biggest topics that cities are trying to address is to reduce speeds, because high speeds in cities, it's like totally connected to fatalities and to the deaths that we have in Brazil, unfortunately in very high numbers. And movements towards reducing speeds to in most avenues of the avenues and small streets and collector and arterials to less than 50 kilometers per hour would be ideal. To have like only a few more express streets or avenues in the city with 60, for example, but most of the other ones with 50 or less, that would be ideal. Also to have low speed zones. So, but not only like, it's not only changing the, how can I say, not only changing like the number and the sign, also like changing the way the streets are designed, creating a calmer environment for everyone. So that would be essential. And also to get together with that, to keep like having this discussion with the population, because sometimes these changes can be very unwelcome for everyone. It's still a very still very polemic. So, but it's something that needs to be done.
Great. So it's very important to engage the citizens in all this transformation, right? So that's, I think, an important step in terms of making them understand why now we're implementing this solution and it's for the best for all. So very nice. There's an example that you show in changing the structure of the city, of that street, where parents can get the children in a safety way. So that for sure decrease the chance on fatalities there. So very nice. Thank you very much, Bruno. And when we go now for a question for Fernanda, Fernanda talked about the zero emissions. The large economies committed to achieve the zero emissions by 2050. So the energy sector is a major contributor to emissions. What is the importance and the speed of the world energy transition to achieve this goal, Fernanda? If you can talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you for the question, Raquel. Well, the energy transition is the main way to achieve it. And it's something that we have to understand that is different when you, depending on the geography that we are dealing with. So Brazil has committed itself with some reductions, and the energy sector is, of course, responsible for some reduction. But here in Brazil, is something important to mention that the deforestation of the Amazon and everything related to the Amazon is more sensitive to the reduction of emissions for us than really the energy sector, because our energy matrix is 80% renewable. We have the hydraulic, we have biomass, we have ethanol, we have biodiesel. So the energy sector is not actually a problem for us here, despite the fact that our hydraulic system is already on the top. We don't have much how to grow on our hydraulic power here in Brazil, and we are now growing with natural gas thermal power plants. But in as the same time, as to say, our energy matrix is not gonna be actually much more dirty than is not gonna be less clean than it's now. So the energy, what I mean is that the energy sector for Brazil is not actually a problem right now, despite the fact that we have some goals in order to improve the use of biofuels for our fleet, despite the fact that we have some goals regarding the emissions, but our main goals are regarding the deforestation and regarding the Amazon care right now.
Yes, exactly. We are in a very, very good position here in Brazil, right? In terms of renewable energy. So let's use that and let's make a good plan in terms of public management for that. So I think I agree with you that we need only to focus now on how we can use better that. So very good. Thank you very much, Fernanda and Bruno, for the discussion. We would like to have more time so we can go through all this content, but I only have time for one last question. So I'll ask Bruno to not only the mobility area is implemented by all that is impacted by all the projects that you have, but the energy area as well. So it's important to say that one project for one specific area can impact different areas in the city. So can you give us an example on that in terms of the projects that WRI already developed?
Regarding energy, okay, so first of all, like we have been working. I'm from the active mobility team, but we have like the urban development team and also the urban mobility team as well in the cities program here in Brazil. The urban mobility team, they have been working a lot with e-buses. So they have more than one project, not only in Brazil but in other countries in Latin America to push for this change in the public buses of the city for them to be electric. And also that's interesting connecting to what Fernanda just said about the energetic matrix, because for example in China we have like some big cities with a huge fleet of e-buses, but they don't have their energy is not renewable, it's not sustainable, it comes from coal, I believe. And here in Brazil we could have like the whole process to be very sustainable once we keep pushing for this change in our fleets from gas to electric, because we have sustainable sources. So that's something that we are working on in Brazil, and it's totally connected to complete streets and to urban mobility and energy. Great. Yeah, I think we are close to the end of the time.
Yeah, great. So we have sustainable solutions, we have the ideas, we have the projects. So that's a very big opportunities that we have in terms of the future.
Can I add something very quickly? Can I very quickly, just to add on something that Bruno said, China has a electrified fleet, of course, in buses and in cars as well. They are trying to electrify their fleets on the urban centers, despite the fact that they have their power come from coal. But this is something very clever. This is not useless. This is energetic planning, because the problem of China is the pollution of the urban centers. So when they put the fleet of electric vehicles, they are putting the pollution away. They are putting the pollution on the side of the cities, and they are cleaning the cities. This is something that was thought. So they are trying to decommission their thermal power plants on coal until 2050. That's their plan. If they're gonna do it or not, we don't know, but it's their plan. So they are putting the electric vehicles to get rid of the problem of the population health in the first time, and they are trying to, and they make their policy of energetic in order to decommission their coal power plant in the future. So this is something that is not sustainable in the first place, but it's very clever on the civil society perspective.
Great. So it's a strategy vision, right? So great additional information, Fernanda. Thank you very much. So thank you all for the participation here today in this side event. Now we are closing to the end, and I'm gonna call Jamie Easton now from the studio of Tomorrow.City. Thank you very much.
This side event indeed. Thank you very much. We've looked at real solutions in Latin American cities while providing better urban services to their citizens. Before we close, we'd like to remind you that all the content broadcast live today will be made available to the Smart City community via the Tomorrow.City platform, which features state-of-art content about cities, innovation and sustainability. Remember that you already have a wealth of relevant content available on the platform for those of you who are interested in urban issues. Thank you very much again to all our audience members for joining us. You are the community and the authentic driving force behind this shared knowledge. We hope you feel part of this network of individuals committed to achieving a more resilient future. And stay tuned, because we hope to see you soon in our upcoming sessions. In any case, don't forget you cannot miss appointment with Smart City Expo World Congress in November, where we will gather the most relevant voices of the sector.